right, here we go. Unit 5, Lesson 1. Last unit, we were talking about equalities with an equal sign, right? This is equal to that. In this unit, we're going to be talking all about inequalities. We're going to be talking about alligator mouths. The alligator eats the bigger number and all that nonsense. But you probably already know some of those things, so we're going to actually be talking about solving inequality, not equations, but inequalities, and what to do with those, and plenty of graphing, because the best way to visualize and understand inequalities is by graphing them. So let's dive in and take a look. So we're going to, like we often do when we can and when it works out that way and when it makes sense to do so, we're going to jump straight in with examples. Okay? Example 1. We are going to solve this. We're going to solve x minus 12 is greater than or equal to 8. Okay, so to solve an inequality, for the most part, we'll see some kind of exceptions and a little bit of tweaking of some rules and things. But for the most part, basically, we pretend like this right here is just an equals, and we solve it just like we would do any other time with an equality, with an equation, right? All right, so we clean up, half step. We look at what's attached, how is it attached, and we do the opposite to get rid of it. It's really pretty straightforward. So we're going to start by adding 12 to both sides because 12 is subtracted, right? So we're going to add 12 to get rid of it. That one's going to subtract. That one's going to cancel, leaving us with x is greater than or equal to 20. Now, we're also going to check our solution real quick. Check. That's okay, right? Now, we could check by plugging in 20. If we put 20 minus 12, we're going to end up with 8, right? So you could check it that way, and you end up with greater than or equal to, right? Whoop. Because we end up with equal to. 8 is greater than or equal to. Now, you could also check by plugging in something else that is greater than 20. So if we put in, say, 25, if we do 25 minus 12 is greater than or equal to 8. 25 minus 12, excuse me, is 8 plus 5 is 13, right? So it's 13. Now, is 13 greater than or equal to 8? Yes, it is. And so this checks 6 ways from Sunday. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, or as was commented on another video, easy as pie. Haha, get it? Pie. Ha ha ha. Very punny. Love it. Yeah, so there you go. So let's do another example. Example number 2. Let me give myself a line so that I have some neatness involved. Example 2. Let's do m plus 19 is greater than 56. Okay. Excuse me. So we're going to we're going to take and we're going to subtract 19 from both sides. Those cancel, leaving us with m is greater than, m is greater than 37. Now, if we wanted to check this, right, we could plug in something bigger than 37 and see if it works. Let's plug in 41. 41 would be easy to check. I'm going to check. We're going to plug in 41 plus 19. And is 41 plus 19 greater than 56? 41 plus 19 would be 60, right? And is 60 greater than 56? Yes, it is. So that checks out just fine, right? No problemo. Let's do one more, I think, in this lesson. And then you can move on to lesson 2. Multiplying and dividing. I'm going to give myself some more space. Use up paper. Don't be afraid to use your space. Paper's cheap. Most of it's recycled. It's going to be okay. We're not killing the planet. Do your math well. Make a better grade. Use it up. So example 3 is 3a plus 6 excuse me, is less than or equal to 4a. This time we're going to add a layer to this onion. We're going to, I thought I moved that over already, but I guess I didn't. We're going to solve and graph. Okay. So we're going to solve just like we would normally solve. Now we've got kind of a cleanup phase, right? We've got these a's separate. We need to get them together and combine them and have them join forces. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to start by moving this 3a. I'm going to move the 3a. In the next unit, we'll in the next in the next lesson, we'll talk about how to deal with multiplying and dividing by negatives because it changes something. So instead of moving the 4a over here, we're going to move the 3a over there so we keep it positive. So subtract 3a from this side. We're going to subtract 3a from this side. We're going to subtract it for that side too. This cancels, leaving us with just a 6 is less than or equal to a. Now, we're supposed to graph this. In order to graph it, it is much more useful if we take and we rewrite this with the variable on the left side, because then it's really easy to see what we're doing. Now, when we flip this around, you got to pay close attention to what you're doing, because when you flip this around, it flips the inequality symbol. So the alligator mouth is coming over here, right? All right, and so you got to make sure that that's all fixed the way it's supposed to be, the way it was before you flipped it around. And so you got to pay attention there. So graphing this is really easy. So we're going to graph it. That's not a two-dimensional thing. We'll do that in the last lesson of this unit. And so, excuse me. Graphing this is really, really straightforward. What we need to know is if that we have greater than or equal to, or if we have less than or equal to, what we're going to graph is what we're going to mark the number with on the number line is we're going to mark it with a solid filled in circle. And if it is less than or equal to, whoa, that kind of looks like a face now. If it is just greater than, or if it's just less than, then we're going to do a open circle, right? Open circle. So this one is or equal to, so we're going to fill that circle in. So we're going to go, and what I like to mark is I like to always mark my 0 place so that I can see what I'm doing. And then you can count by whatever makes sense. Like if this number was 2,000, then you might count by hundreds or 500s or something. If you're one of my students, here's the rule of thumb. Go with the not lazy choice. Like for example, here you could count by 6s, right? And put 0 and put one other thing. But 1s would be the not lazy choice. If we're going to 10 on a space like this, then you might go by 2s or whatever. So go by as small a number as makes sense is what so we get enough granularity in our graphs to kind of understand what we're doing, and especially if we're doing fractions and all of those things. So go with as small a number as makes sense. If you have questions about that, you can ask me in class. So we're going to mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only time you technically don't have to mark the tick marks is if you're counting by 1s. But I'm going to go ahead and label them anyway. So we've got 1, 2, 3. You don't necessarily have to label them all. You have to label enough to know what our scale is, and then you have to label the one that you're marking. So I've got enough so I know that I'm going by ones, and I'm labeling 6 because that's what I'm marking. I'm going to do a filled in circle, right? Circle, and then I'm going to fill it in. And then now it's greater than, and also where it's pointing to the right, which is why I like to turn it around. So what we do is we shade in the greater than or the positive direction. So it's going up. Makes sense? Easy as pie. No problemo. Easy peasy. Lemon squeezy. There you go. In the next lesson, we'll talk about multiplication and division with inequalities, which will include that little negative thing, which is just kind of one more little tiny rule that you've got to remember and all of that, but it's not that hard. Thanks for joining me. If you're one of my students, do your homework, all the things. We'll see you in class. If you're not one of my students, thanks for joining us. It would be super helpful if you hit that subscribe button and drop us a like on this video and let us know in the comments how we can help you with your math and your science and your general homeschool journey and all of those things. You can check out what else we're doing at emberlearninglabs.com. Thank you guys and have a great day. Bye-bye.